This is Be Seen, Be Heard with Jade. Jade Seabury grew up imagining seeing her name in lights on Broadway one day, so she went to the best performing arts schools in Queens, New York, where she was born and raised. When she decided to expand her horizons and go off to college at the University of Hartford, a new path was set for her. She wanted to get her master's in public relations and come back to be an amazing entertainment publicist. Jade returned to NYC after college and became a partner in a PR firm for 8 years and then started Diverse Tunes. Co-founded with her childhood friend in 2018, this educational foundation became her passion, and the tagline Be Seen, Be Heard was the start of a new web series that tells people of color stories that could empower everyone.
Hi everyone, this is Be Seen, Be Heard with Jade, and today we have Dr. Erica Gamble, also known as the Wig Doctor. Hi, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. So you opened your shop in June 2015 to help chemo patients, alopecia patients, and people that you wanted to aid and help with other conditions and things of that nature, give them a new lease on life with hair pieces and custom wig pieces.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. But I will tell you, Jade, when I first started this business, that part, everything you just said, I had no idea. I had no idea of the needs of people with alopecia, people going through cancer, chemotherapy. I didn't know anything about that. I thought that people would be kind of just like myself, lazy today, don't want to do your hair, just wants to put a wig on, do some quick errands or whatever, and call it a day. So, yeah.
So it just kind of opened this whole new market of people just opened up to you, and you had just no idea. You just wanted to, be like that average customer just coming to you, for a new do and a new look. How did the flood of basically like patients that really needed you come to fruition?
So actually what happened was one day, so I had been open for about 3 weeks.
Okay.
And in that first 3 weeks, nobody came. So I was like, wow, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe this is not a good idea. I didn't know what was going on. And so I'll never forget one day a lady walked in and I'm like, hi, how can I help you? And then walks in her husband, then walks in her 2 daughters. And I'm like, oh, so I'm like, oh, how can I help you? I'm thinking I'm happy. And so she says, well, I just left from the cancer center, which was literally right around the corner from the shop. And the doctor, has diagnosed me with breast cancer and told me that I'm going to lose my hair in about 2 to 3 weeks. And honestly, Jade, I hit the floor. Now, I tried to keep my composure because first of all, this was all thrown at me and I had no idea. But then the look on her husband's face and her kid's face, that's what took me out. I tried to keep it together and I'm like, okay, so, let's see how we can do this. But I had no product even in my store at the time to even support her. So I had to figure just something out quickly. And so again, this was just all new to me. So I'm like, oh, so what does this look like? Like, what type of hair, how, if you're going to lose your hair, you're going to be bald. So what is your head size going to look like? I mean, no idea. So it was her that actually changed the whole entire trajectory of my business.
So then, like, walk us through that. Like, what did you have to do for her? Like, how did you have to learn everything, like, all over to, like, adapt to her and her illness and things of that nature?
So what I did, because again, this was all new to me, I took some information. So I'm like, okay, so can I take a picture of you so I can see what your natural hair looks like while you still have it? And then I'm like, let me, make sure that I can, look at your face shape, all of this. And I'm like, so, does hair color matter to you? Do you want long? Do you want short? How are you going to want to manage all of this going through this process? And so I'm asking her all these questions, but in my mind, I'm building this wig and I'm thinking about what this needs to look like. So I did all of the little background things. And then I told her I would call her in, like the next day or two. and have her come back. And then they left, and I just started calling around. I ran up to another boutique that was in the area because I had no idea.
Yeah.
So there was a lady who was up the street from me in a boutique, a wig boutique that had been there since 1970. And so I went to her and I pretended like it was for someone that I knew. And I just said, I need your help. Here's the picture of my friend. Here's what I need. She's losing her hair. And she walked me through this process. Now, again, in the back of my mind, I'm learning, what I need to be doing, but I'm also learning about product and what I need to. So I got all of that information from her, was able to get the wig from her, deliver it to the client seamlessly. She had no idea. She loved it. Her family loved it. But at that moment, I then discovered that I didn't have the resources that I needed for my business.
Yeah. So it was just like a learning and growing and everything. And you had to basically start from scratch all over again.
Yep.
And you had just opened this. So then that's more money because now you realize that you have to start from scratch in a whole new business model to care for cancer patients now and chemo patients that are going through this whole different process.
Yeah.
And so was that like a whole new like money management thing that you had to do because you had to buy all these different new products that you had no idea?
Yes. So to your point, all of the wigs that I had, Jade, were not, I didn't have products to service everybody. Let me say, I had, again, what I thought, it would work for me. And what I thought worked for me would work for you and her and her and her. So because that situation happened, I realized, okay, number one, I don't have the right products. Number two, I don't have the right knowledge. I don't have the right information. I don't have the right anything. So now I'm trying to scramble to figure out what do I do next. So of course, the internet was there, and I started Googling and looking up some ideas, but then I went back to that wig store. And what I did was I went back on a day that the owner wasn't there and pretended again like I was a shopper. And I started looking at labels and I started writing them down. So I saw all of these different wigs, brands, colors, styles. So I just started writing. Then the next day I got on the phone and I started calling vendors like, hey, but here's the thing. They wouldn't service me. A lot of vendors told me no, because number one, they were like, who are you?
They don't know you and you don't have a relationship with them. Got you.
Relationship and no money. So a lot of them were like, your opening order needs to be 5,000, 10,000, 20,000.
Yeah.
I just want to buy one wig or two.
Yeah, they wanted the masses.
So I struggled and I felt defeated, right? Because I felt like, well, wow, if this lady is coming in here. And so, but to back that part up, when she told me the cancer center that sent her over, I went over there and asked them, how did you guys even know that I was here?
True.
And like, oh, we rode by one day, we saw your sign, and we decided to share your information with our clients. And I'm like,
oh, wow, that's nice. That's amazing.
That's amazing, but I wasn't ready.
Yeah. And the fact that you had only been open 3 weeks and they just from seeing your sign, they're already referring you. So that means that they're going to refer you to 10 more clients now that they saw what you're going to do, what you did for her. Yeah. And it's like that whole word of mouth. People don't understand the power of word of mouth. Yes. And then she's going to go brag to her people when she's going to go in and get her chemo treatments. They're going to see her and they're going to be like, oh, wow, you look bomb.
Yep. Yeah.
So, and then they didn't even know, and then you're just gonna explode, and then you weren't even ready to handle her. So it's like, how were you gonna handle everybody else? And it's like you had to get it fast,
really, really fast. And so what I did too, all of the product that I had in my store, I just did a quick sale. Yeah. I'm like, everything 50% off. Everything. Yeah. Everything because I'm like, now I need to get rid of this stuff and now I need real stuff. But it still wasn't that easy because I needed the vendor support.
Yeah.
And I have that. So it didn't matter regardless of if I had the money or whatever, it was up to the vendors to decide that they wanted to do business with me.
And take a chance on you, yeah.
That's it. It wasn't up to me. And no amount of money could change that. And so that's when I discovered that number one, I got to build relationships with people in this industry. This is a small community, this wig community. Yeah. Even though modes of wig stores and online and all of that. It's still a small community. And I have to get that exposure so that they can trust me and know that I'm going to deliver and do the right things or whatever, and make this possible for all of these people in this community that are going through the very same thing that this lady walked through my doors with.
True. Very true. So how long did it take you to start building those relationships and everything with the vendors?
I want to say about 2 years. So what happened is, so once I started contacting the vendors, and of course all the ones that told me no, I was cool with that. I put them in, the no pile. Then I, started contacting some that said yes, but what they wanted to know was a little bit more. Tell us about you. Let's see pictures of your store. Where are you located? Who are you? They wanted to know. And I'm like, they want to know why, why?
Yeah.
Why do you think about me? I'm like, what difference does it make? And so I not even understanding. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, well, if they want to see pictures of my store, that means that they're looking for a certain type of
look. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, and number one, because when we work with certain people, we put your information on our website so that we're sending people to you. So we want to make sure that the people we're sending to you, and we want to make sure it's legit. And I'm like, wow, that's important. So
True.
I knew then I had to move. I needed to switch locations. I needed to be in a better place. I needed to, do all of that. So that came later. But the vendor relationship started. They started inviting me to come. And obviously this is way, before COVID. But they said, hey, we're doing a class on this date. Come out so we can educate you. So you can learn about our products, learn about what we offer, learn what we do and who we service. And so that's what I did. Now, mind you, I'm new in business. I still didn't have any money. These classes were $700, $500. I had to fly to get there. I had to get a hotel, food. But I'm like, I got to do it. And so my husband was so super supportive. He's like, you got to go.
Yeah.
That's the only way for you to be able to understand this business. And so thank God for him, because he was being supportive. He went with me a lot of times, and he would just sit in the car and for hours while I'm going through this. But it was so much information, and some of the classes were 2 and 3 days. So one day they're throwing all this information, and the next day they're throwing these products, and then the next day, and I'm still overwhelmed. But at the same time, I'm networking. Now I'm talking to business owners, and I'm like, hey, you want to share your information? Give me your number. I'm like, I would love to call you if I had questions. And from that point on, hands down, those people were like, hey, you need help? You got questions? Call me. We love to help, because we're not in competition with each other. Because there's room for everybody, and we all have our certain clients that we service. So it's not really a competition thing, even though we all sell pretty much the same type of product.
Thing. Yeah.
We can support each other. And so it was then where I was like, wow, okay, this is what I'm called to do. And I was so thankful for those women who just said, hey, here's my business, here's my number, here's this, here's that. Call me, come out, come visit. And I even asked a couple of them, can I come visit your store to see how you have things set up, to see what you sell, to see how you talk to your clients, so that I can learn. And they were all with it. So I'm like, man. And that's what started. And so that was about 2 to 3 years into the business.
Nice. That's amazing. That's great that it's like, it's a nice community, and it's not like, no cattiness, no anything. It's like about collectiveness and community and coming together to support each other. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
That's
I need
really
that.
cool. Yeah, that's nice, because it's it's like you guys sell the same thing. It's not like, oh my God, one store is going to impact another store. If somebody's going to come to you and buy it, it's like, it is what it is. It's really no competition. Whether people come in your store and buy your store, or come to another store and buy their product, it is what it is. You can't really impact each other like that. So
that's right.
I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hair loss is like a huge deal, especially it impacts everybody like a great deal. Like you said, that whole family was impacted when she said like she was going to lose her hair. And so your motto is, hair is an accessory, and you believe it's important for a woman to look and feel her best each day. And it all starts with prayer and good hair. I love that motto. That's your motto. That's what you live by. So you were born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. So how did you end up setting up shop in Marietta, Georgia?
Actually, I came to Atlanta in 2006. And so it wasn't until 2015 when I started the business, but I actually live in Marietta. So it's the same community in which I live. And I felt a couple of ways. Number one, I didn't feel like there was enough support in the community because currently we have two cancer centers that are located in this community alone. But state of Georgia, there's cancer centers all around. However, there wasn't enough representation. So I said, okay, this is where I live, where I need to be. And so I rode around, and then I found a spot. And then I said, you know what? That's just what I'm going to do. And so once I found that location, I went and then I opened up the shop.
Wow, great. So since the pandemic hit, you were just receiving online orders instead of walk-ins, or have you been significantly impacted?
So my business was considered essential. So I did not necessarily have to shut down. However, because of the people that I service and they have compromised immune systems, chemotherapy, lupus, all of these things, they were scared. And they are. They didn't want to come out. They didn't want to come in. Some clients who would just call me and say, hey, you know what I like? You know what I need? Send it to me. I started to kind of build the online, but it's very difficult to buy wigs online unless you're buying specifically the same wig that you've always had and you know exactly the name and all of that. But otherwise, you can there's hundreds and thousands of wig vendors, but if you don't know what you're getting. So a lot of clients were saying, hey, I ordered from this company. I asked for brown. They sent me red. I asked for this. They sent me that. And it was frustrating. And also during the pandemic, a lot of wig companies that were created suddenly were taking advantage of people because they weren't wig companies. They were just acting as wig companies, even though they had certain products, but they would display a product and say, okay, you can get this wig. But when they send it, it's something completely different. And then by the time they try to dispute it or they're gone.
Oh, wow.
Website, there's no number, and so a lot of my clients were out of a lot of money during the pandemic and during the shutdown because they just didn't know what else to do.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking when you on your website, because I know you can order online. So it's mostly returning customers that are ordering online, because how I was wondering, like, how do you do like a new customer online? Because it's, you guys do custom wigs. So I was like, how do you do like a custom wig like online unless they're like doing, their head measurements, their pictures and everything, unless you're doing that way?
Well, I started doing virtual consultations, but even a virtual consultation is not as easy, but you can do a lot of things virtually, just like you and I, we can see each other.
Yeah.
Certain things I can walk you through measuring, your own hair size and all of that. But it's still difficult because I'm holding up and asking you, hey, what do you think about this color? What do you think about this style? What do you think? But you're not actually here to touch it. You're not actually here to do any of that. So it did still create some difficulty. And so, but I did shut down, but I was still accepting calls and if people, and so because I respect my clients so much and they respect me too, then I said, you know what? Well, if whoever I see, it's all got to be one-on-one. I can't have one person here at a time. And so they would call and say, hey, my husband's going to bring me. He's going to sit in the car. I'll come in. It's just me and you. And that's pretty much what I did.
Oh, nice. Okay, I like that. That's nice and safe. That makes sense.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's mostly your returning customers and they still have been able to been serviced and things of that nature. So that makes sense. Okay, so what advice can you give to small business owners and, people just starting out that, have a dream and they want to get started and they feel like this time is like the perfect time because they've either like lost their jobs or things of that nature, and they feel like, I want to get out there and start my dream business?
You know what I say? Just do it. I will say this, even how I started out in this business, not knowing, you have to knock on doors. You got to go get the help that you need. If you don't have the information that you need, you cannot be afraid to ask. And the biggest thing that I learned is people are going to say no. People are going to say, I can't help you. People are going to say, oh, I don't know. Because there are people who are not willing to help, but there are so many more that are. So I learned that networking, contacting people, knocking on doors, but also supporting other businesses. That's the key. You got to support people if you want support. You got to talk to people if you want people to talk to you. I had to go to every cancer center and knock on the door and say, hello, my name is, and this is what I do. My elevator speech was ready, and I had to go. Whether they sent me one person or whether they sent me 1,000 people, it doesn't matter to me. I need to let people know that I exist. And now more than ever, people are at home, people are on social media, people are on the internet. And so now is the best time to build and get people's attention because people are shopping, people are looking, people are wanting services. A lot of things haven't stopped. So depending on what business it is or what you're trying to provide, everybody wants something or needs something, no matter what it is. And so you just have to expose yourself. And I will say this, Jade, what I'm doing right now, I would not have done 5 or 6 years ago. People want to see you and they want to know who you are. Who's the brains behind the business? What do you bring? And why should we trust you? And my clients just do. They sometimes they just come in here and they just want to sit and talk. They don't want to necessarily buy anything.
Yeah.
But because of the relationships, this is a relationship. I established relationships with not just them, their families, their kids, their doctors, whatever it is, because this is a need. And so you have to expose yourself. You have to ask. You have to be present, and you have to show up. Even in the days that I didn't want to show up, I didn't feel like it, or the days that I said nobody's going to come. I sat here for hours when I first opened. I would sit there for literally 8-10 hours. Not one person would come through the door. But I would say, you know what? Tomorrow's a new day.
Exactly.
So you got to keep showing up because one day will be that day.
That's so true.
You just got to push.
So true. And when I first saw you, you were on the Drew Barrymore show and she gave you money for your social media because that's what you said that your business needed most. So since then, what have you done to work with the social media specialists and things like that to like up your social media game?
Do what I'm doing now, getting in front of the camera. So I did a live the other day. Oh my gosh. I was just like, I don't want to do this. I had to talk myself into it. I had to literally get in front of this camera, put these wigs on and say, listen, this is what it is. And I got so much positive response from that. But
that's great.
That's the number one part of the coaching. The other part too is hiring somebody. I realized I couldn't do it by myself. I had to bring in people. I have to have a team. I don't know any successful business people that don't have teams, or you gotta can't do everything. And so I have a wonderful young lady that I work with. She's beautiful. She doesn't mind. She'll be the face. She comes in, she puts it together, she puts it on, and I'm behind her supporting her, but we do it together and it works. So that's been the first, we're doing this in phases of this whole social media thing, but I realized that I needed to stop being scared of that aspect. And I just had to jump out and just do it.
That's true. That's the first step.
Yeah.
That's nice. I'm happy for you. That's great.
Yes.
So let everybody know like where they can find you, everything like that.
So you can find me online at www.wigdoctor.com, and that's WIGDR.com. I am in East Cobb, so I am in Marietta, Georgia. And anyway, people want to contact me. My number is published. So my number is 678-600-4568. And listen, people text me from all over the world. So you can call me, you can text me. My email is thewigdoctor@att.net. and everything is on my website. I'm on Instagram at the Wig Doctor, and I'm also on Facebook. So I'm pretty active everywhere. I'm even on Twitter, which I still don't know how to work, but whatever. I don't understand Twitter. So, but I'm on there. So I'm on
Twitter is the best. You have to go with Twitter.
Yeah, so I'm on there. I'm trying, and every day I'm active. I'm posting. I interact with people. I answer my own calls. I respond to my own emails. I follow up with people no matter what. And so that's just me, and that to me is important. That customer experience and touching I try to touch everybody. I would love to have an assistant, but I feel like when people come and they call, they want to talk to me. So I'm working on that and trying to figure out how we do that. But for now, this is my baby. And so it's all me.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, it was a pleasure. And thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you and how I can help or support what you're doing. I love what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Well, next time I'm down in Georgia, I have to, stop by. Because my family's in Decatur. So, next time I'll try to swing by there.
Yes, come by. And hey, I got a beautiful space. And so I also, just really quick, I use my space so one thing that I'm looking to do for 2021, depending on how the pandemic goes, is opening my space up for support groups. So there are a lot of alopecia support groups. My passion for this year has been kids. I've serviced a lot of kids that have alopecia, trichotillomania. They're losing hair. And so what's happening is these kids go to school and they get teased, right?
Yeah.
They don't have hair, they have bald patches, or they have on a whole wig. So my goal for 2021 is to do parent support group, children support group using my space, because I have a space in here, educating educators, our principals, our teachers, so that they can understand what these children are going through, so that we can better educate kids, so we can stop the bullying and the nonsense happening in schools with children who have lost hair or are losing hair and have to deal with this life-changing thing. And I've had several kids come in here, and I'm telling you, the tears and the tears and the tears and the tears. And just getting through that has been really, really huge for me. It's just like the soft spot of my business.
Oh, yes.
So that's what I'm working on for 2021.
I love that. I'm with it.
Together with these babies, because I'm not gonna have my babies out here with these pretty wigs.
I'm an advocate for the children. I don't mess with no children. No. When you mess with the children, I'm no holds bar.
So my babies come in here and they get these wigs and they feeling good, and we leave out of here feeling good. Call that they went to school and somebody snatched the wig off, and now we got a problem. Yeah.
See, now you want me to fight? Nah, they just snatched the wigs off the baby. Nah.
So we're gonna start showing up at these schools, talking to these
let me know.
It starts at home. And I said, so we gotta educate and we gotta make people understand that
we gotta start a no bullying campaign now. This is a problem.
So that's what I'm working on. But yes, when you come to Georgia,
sign me up. I'm about it.
All right. Well, thank you again, Jade. This was great. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Okay, everybody. This has been Be Seen, Be Heard with Jade. And we had the Wig Doctor with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Happy holidays. Be safe.
Yes.
Mwah.